Hold on to your hats, America, because things just got real in the trade war arena. The stakes have never been higher, and the impact is going to be felt far and wide. On April 2, 2025, President Trump dropped a bombshell announcement that sent shockwaves across the globe. The world watched in disbelief as he outlined his aggressive new trade policies. He slapped a 10% tariff on all imports, effective April 5, 2025. This sweeping measure is aimed at protecting American industries but comes with significant consequences. That's right, folks, everything coming into the US just got a whole lot more expensive. From everyday essentials to luxury items, the cost of living is about to skyrocket. From Chinese electronics to European wine, get ready to pay a premium. The ripple effects of these tariffs will be felt in every corner of the market, and it doesn't stop there. The president's plan includes a series of targeted tariffs designed to hit specific countries harder. Trump also announced additional tariffs on specific countries based on their existing tariffs on U.S. goods. This move is seen as a direct challenge to international trade norms. China's getting hit with a 34% tariff, Japan with 24%, and the EU with 20%. These are some of the highest tariffs we've seen in recent history, and the EU with 20%. India, Vietnam, and Taiwan aren't spared either, facing 26%, 46%, and 32% tariffs respectively. The list goes on, affecting numerous countries and industries. And Taiwan aren't spared either, facing 26%, 46%, and 32% tariffs respectively. The global trade landscape is being reshaped before our eyes. This is on top of the tariffs already in place on steel, aluminum, cars, and goods from Mexico and Canada. The cumulative effect is staggering. This is on top of the tariffs already in place on steel, aluminum, cars, and goods from Mexico and Canada. The economic landscape is shifting rapidly, and businesses are scrambling to adapt. It's a full-blown trade war, and we're all caught in the crossfire. The uncertainty is causing chaos in markets and boardrooms alike. This isn't some abstract economic policy debate anymore. It's hitting home, affecting our daily lives and financial stability. This is about your wallet, your job, and your future. Families are rethinking their budgets, and businesses are reconsidering their strategies. So buckle up, Buttercup, because it's going to be a bumpy ride. The road ahead is uncertain, and we all need to be prepared for the twists and turns. So why the sudden tariff tantrum? What has sparked this intense focus on trade policies and import taxes? Trump claims it's all about fairness and reciprocity. He argues that for too long, other nations have taken advantage of the United States with unfair trade practices. He wants other countries to lower their tariffs on American goods, creating a level playing field for U.S. businesses. This, he believes, will make American products more competitive on the global stage. According to Trump, this will lead to a resurgence in domestic manufacturing, bringing back jobs and boosting the American economy. Factories that have long been dormant could spring back to life, providing employment to thousands. He envisions a world where Made in America is more than just a slogan on a baseball cap. It's a reality where American-made goods are sought after and respected worldwide. It's a bold vision, no doubt, but is it realistic? Can tariffs truly bring about the economic renaissance that Trump promises? Critics argue that tariffs are a blunt instrument, more likely to inflict pain than achieve their intended goals. They warn that such measures could backfire, leading to trade wars and economic instability. They point out that tariffs are essentially taxes on American consumers and businesses, raising prices and hurting demand. Everyday items could become more expensive, affecting the average American's wallet. Moreover, they argue that tariffs rarely lead to a resurgence in domestic manufacturing. Instead of reopening factories, companies might move their operations to other countries to avoid the tariffs. Instead, they often result in higher costs for businesses, making them less competitive globally. Small businesses in particular could struggle to absorb these increased costs. So is this a recipe for economic revival or a recipe for disaster? Only time will tell. The future of American trade and manufacturing hangs in the balance, waiting to see the true impact of these tariffs. Unsurprisingly, the international community isn't taking this lying down. Canada, China, Japan, South Korea, and the European Union have all condemned the tariffs and vowed to retaliate with countermeasures. These could include tariffs on U.S. goods, restrictions on American investments, and even boycotts of American products. The global trading system, already strained by years of tension and uncertainty, is now teetering on the brink of chaos. The International Monetary Fund has warned that a full-blown trade war could shave trillions of dollars off the global economy. The World Trade Organization is scrambling to mediate the dispute, but its efforts have so far been met with defiance from the Trump administration. The world is holding its breath, bracing for the impact of a trade war that could have far-reaching consequences for everyone. Even on American soil, the tariff tempest hasn't gone unchallenged. In a rare display of bipartisanship, the Senate voted 51-48 to end the emergency declaration that allowed Trump to impose tariffs on Canada. 4 Republicans crossed party lines to rebuke the president, signaling growing unease within his own party about his trade policies. However, the resolution is unlikely to go anywhere in the House of Representatives, where Republicans hold a majority and remain largely loyal to the president. Still, the Senate vote serves as a symbolic rebuke of Trump's trade agenda, highlighting the deep divisions within the U.S. government on this issue. It remains to be seen whether this will have any impact on the president's resolve to push forward with his trade war. While the political battle over tariffs rages on, economists are busy crunching numbers, trying to predict the real-world impact of this trade war. They are meticulously analyzing data, running simulations, and debating potential outcomes. And the outlook isn't pretty. The consensus among experts is that the economic repercussions will be severe. Experts at the Yale Budget Lab warn that low-income households will be hit the hardest by these tariffs. These families are already on tight budgets. Why? Because they spend a larger share of their income on goods and services, many of which are imported. Everyday items like food, clothing, and household goods will become more expensive, many of which are imported. The increased costs will be passed down to consumers, making it harder for families to afford basic necessities. They estimate that a 20% tariff, which might seem small at first glance, coupled with retaliation from other countries, will have a compounding effect on the economy. Could reduce the disposable income of low-income families by as much as 5.5%, a significant reduction that will be felt deeply, or $2,365 per year. This is money that could have been used for essential expenses like rent, utilities, and healthcare. That's a significant chunk of change for families already struggling to make ends meet. The financial strain will force many to make tough choices. And it's not just low-income households that will feel the pinch. Middle-class families will also experience financial pressure. Businesses, both large and small, will face higher costs for imported materials and components, which are crucial for their operations. Will face higher costs for imported materials and components, leading to increased production costs and reduced profit margins, cutting into their profits and potentially leading to job losses. The ripple effect could be felt across the entire economy, affecting everyone from factory workers to corporate executives. Section 6. Wall Street shudders. Stock market reacts to tariff tremors. The stock market, often seen as a barometer of economic confidence, has also reacted nervously to the tariff turmoil. After an initial surge following the announcement, likely driven by speculation and short-term trading strategies, U.S. stock markets tumbled in after-hours trading. The Dow Jones Industrial Average, the S&P 500, and the Nasdaq Composite all closed down, reflecting growing anxiety among investors about the potential fallout from a protracted trade war. The uncertainty surrounding the tariffs, the threat of retaliation, and the potential for a global economic slowdown have all contributed to the market jitters. Section 7. Beat the clock, consumers scramble ahead of tariff hikes. Meanwhile, on the ground, American consumers are already feeling the heat. Car dealerships are reporting a surge in sales as buyers rush to purchase vehicles before the tariffs take effect and prices go up. The auto industry, heavily reliant on global supply chains and cross-border trade, is particularly vulnerable to tariffs. Consumers fearing sticker shock are flocking to dealerships to snag deals while they last. But this buying frenzy is likely to be short-lived. Once the tariffs kick in, car prices are expected to rise significantly, putting new vehicles out of reach for many Americans. Section 8. The administration's refrained tax breaks and open doors maybe. Amidst the growing chorus of criticism and concern, the Trump administration is sticking to its guns. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent insists that the tariffs will be accompanied by promised tax breaks, offsetting any negative impact on American businesses and consumers. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt has also chimed in, stating that Trump remains open to negotiations with countries willing to change their trade policies. However, she offered no specifics on what concessions the U.S. might be willing to make in return. The administration's message seems to be a mix of reassurance and defiance, but it remains to be seen whether it will be enough to calm the storm. Section 9. Passing the Buck, the Great Tariff Blame Game. As the trade war heats up, one question remains hotly debated. Who ultimately pays for tariffs? Some economists argue that foreign producers bear the brunt of the burden, forced to lower their prices to remain competitive. Others, like those at the Wilson Center, contend that it's American consumers and businesses who ultimately foot the bill through higher prices for imported goods and services. E.J. Antoni of the Committee to Unleash Prosperity argues that exporters also share the pain, as tariffs make their products more expensive in foreign markets, hurting sales. The truth likely lies somewhere in the middle, with the costs of tariffs spread across various stakeholders. But one thing is certain, in a trade war there are no winners, only casualties.